well. Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Oh my God, we've made the crossover. We're now inside of a brand new year. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lord. Here we are. This is Queen Mother Speaks. All right. Every Wednesday, every week, live at 5 p.m. Kenya time. This is our first show of the new year, and we're calling this show our New Year Show. And basically, we've got like four areas that we want to speak to you on. One of those areas is dealing with Hanukkah. Another area is dealing with our ancestors, giving ourselves an opportunity to thank those people in our life who's been there for us. And also, we want to talk about how you can live Kwanzaa 365 days a year. All right. And so that's going to be brought to us by Miss Crystal. I just again want to say to you, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. And thank you for tuning in to Queen Mother Speaks today. We recognize that you could have been listening to anything, anywhere, but you chose to be with us at this moment. And for that, we want to say thank you. All right. We start with a new theme. We're in a new season. We finished off season 9 very wonderfully. And now we're in a new season. All right. And our theme for the new season is recommitting to good health as the foundation on which to build a life, a community, an economy. And during this 13-week season, we hope to have guests on the show who will speak to what that theme is about, talking about health. You see, health is not only for your body, it's in other areas of your life too. As we've stated, your life, your community, and the economy. So do me in 23. Do me in 23. That's what it's about. That is what it's about. You see, the global pandemic has shaken all of us, during those few years. And it woke us up in many ways. Some of those ways are big and some of those ways are small. But at the same time, we learned through the pandemic that we have not just a personal level of life to deal with, but a community level, a social, and a global level. And various guests, as I stated on the show, will be addressing these aspects of having a healthy life. We want to acknowledge and thank our co-host, Nana Afua Adezawa, also known as Terry Kemp. She will not be in studio today, but she will be managing the chat room for us. So thank you, Nana, for that. Thank you for that. Happy New Year to you. And we look forward to having you back on the show as well. Rise up, everybody, ye mighty nation of men and women. Hit that like button, that share button, and that comment button, and let us know that you're there. I'd like to give shout outs to people in the viewing audience today. The Honorable Margaret Tolley, Rose Amwara, Maurice Mbuyu from Kenya. Maurice, please do feel better. To Sarah and the girls in Dubai, Dr. Whitley Butler in Louisiana, Brother Chess and Lila from New York City. And we're going to right now let you see who we actually have in studio today. And they're going to give a chance to give you a shout out. So in studio today, we have Crystal CAULEY. Crystal, you want to say hello to the viewing audience? Oh, unmute.
Hello, I am Crystal CAULEY, and I'm from Hendersonville, North Carolina.
She's muted.
Very good. Estelle?
Hi, I'm Estelle Strizhak, and I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, but living in Nairobi, Kenya as a missionary.
Very good. Binti?
Hi, I'm Beverly or Binti, and I am in Nairobi, Kenya.
All right. Sir?
Hello, I am ADISA Anderson, and I am in North America or California.
All right, very good. And we are expecting one more person. Actually, we're expecting about 3 or 4 more people to be in studio today, but we're just going to go back to our introduction at the moment. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, you have fire in the house. You have fire in the house. So, I invite you to get relaxed and ready for this awesome show that we have for you today. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and comment button. And in a moment, we're going to be telling you to subscribe. But today, I'm saying like, share, and comment button. If this is your first time tuning into Queen Mother Speaks, thank you for being here. And we certainly hope and trust that you will hear something on this show today that excites you to the extent that you want to do something more in your life. Okay. In on the Queen Mother Speak show, we always have exciting guests, both men, women, and youth, and they talk about their ventures, their projects, their products, their passions and what they're doing. And again, we're just glad that you're here to tune in. And we certainly hope again that you hear something that will inspire you today. Again, I just want to say Happy New Year to each of you. Remember to click on Facebook.com/Queen Mother Speaks, or you can click on Facebook.com/Arthur Teresa R. Kemp for you to pick up and get the show. Okay. Blessings to all of our faithful fans who keep tuning into Queen Mother Speaks year after year and week after week. I also want to thank those of you who are having a birthday in this month of January. And I've got a few that I want to say happy birthday to. Lady BJ Love, Raymond Sussman, Alvin Vincent Voodoo Child Ware. These are friends who are having January birthdays. Okay, we also have Flora Giles and Marilyn Lewis. So those of you in studio today, if you have someone that you want to give a birthday shout out to, feel free to do that. If you just want to give a shout out to someone at any time, feel free to do that. Thank you again for people who rose early this morning to watch the show. That would be the people in Hawaii, which is Simkia Joy Williams. Thank you, Simkia, for tuning in. She's like 14 hours. We're 14 hours ahead of her. So it's 4 a.m. in the morning for her. And she got up to see the first show of the new year. Thank you so much for that, RAQUIYAH. I also want to thank Ernestine Mpingo, Councilman Robert Farrell, Red, and Kwashi, all from Los Angeles. They have to get up 10 hours in advance to see the show. So thank you for your early rising. Also, hello to Tashmia, Nyla, Hakika, and Samantha from San Francisco, California. I want to remind you to continue to wash your hands and keep yourself safe, not because the government said so, but because it makes sense for you to do that. Simple. You don't have to be government issued to say to wash your hands. Even though some say we're still in COVID, others say we're out of COVID, but whatever it may be, continue to wash your hands. Okay? I want to say that Bongo Dada Bongo is a new platform that is now a spinoff from the Queen Mother Speak show, and it is a safe space for inspiration and expression. You can catch Bongo Dada Bongo every Thursday at 7 p.m. Kenya time, and that is 11 a.m. New York time. 11 a.m. New York time. Okay, we will not do our meditation today. We will not do our breathing because we have enough people in the studio. So we won't get to do those today, but we'll put them back in at another time. The month of January, I will say to you, calls us to use the spiritual gift of faith. Faith is visualizing something new in every area of our lives. All right, so in the month of January, the principle for this month is called faith. We'll be talking a little bit about faith every week inside of season 10, because in this season, especially in the month of January, the principle is faith, and we'll be talking a little bit about faith. Even myself, I want to speak about faith and how it has helped me and what I've done with my faith and how I've challenged my faith and how my faith has even challenged me. Oh yeah, that has happened a few times as well. That my faith has challenged me and make me wonder and ask God, now wait a minute, Lord, what's going on? I don't know if you ever have conversations like that with your God, but I do. I do have to ask the universe sometime what is going on and to help me out of some of the circumstances and predicaments that I seem to get into for one reason or the other. All right, thank you for that. We're going to go right now straight into our guest in the studio. We're going to start off with Miss Estelle. Estelle is out of Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is one of the 5 boroughs of the city of New York, where she boldly states that she was born and raised in Brooklyn. Her family is first generation Jewish Americans. Her grandparents came to America to start a new life and to avoid the persecution of Jewish people suffered, what Jewish people suffered in Eastern Europe. Estelle got a scholarship to go to Knowles College in Galesburg, Illinois. But later on, she was able to make a trip to guess where? A place called India. And she studied there for a while. Then she came back to America, where she received her BA and MA from University of Wisconsin at Madison. And she got a Fulbright scholarship. And guess what she did with that? Estelle went back to India. And she's saying there, she learned a whole lot about life when she was studying over there. So eventually she came back to America, and she began for 30 years working in various refugee camps in various countries in Africa. At some point, she made her way to Kenya. And while she was here, she came up with this brilliant idea of a program for schools teaching the children math and English. Okay. However, today, Estelle is here today to talk with us about Hanukkah. We are going to have her back on the show later on to find out more about what's happening with her project here in Kenya in an area called Kibera. Estelle, hello, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Queen Mother. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right.
And I hope everybody can hear me clearly. Let me start talking about Hanukkah to tell you that this is a holiday that began 22 centuries ago. In Judaism, we are commanded to light lights on 3 occasions. One is to begin the beginning of the Sabbath, which for us is Friday night, because the Sabbath for us, the 7th day, is on Saturday. The second kind of lighting of a candle we're commanded to light is the Havdalah candle, which is the candle that's lit at the end of the Sabbath, Shabbat, and marks the end of a sacred time and the beginning of the ordinary week. The third candle that we're commanded to light is for Hanukkah, and this is all about the Festival of Lights and the time when good has taken over from evil. 22 centuries ago, the Greek-Syrian king Antiochus attacked Jerusalem and took over the Second Temple, pushed out the Jews, and did what everybody who hates the Jews always commands: either convert or die. And this was very difficult for the Jews. The Holy Temple was desecrated and became a temple to the god Zeus, and there was a revolution going on. A priestly family named the Maccabees, and the eldest member of the family, Mattathias, had sons who started the revolution and were, amazingly enough, victorious and kicked Antiochus out of the temple and out of Jerusalem. This meant the entire temple had to be totally cleaned and totally restored. And the tradition in Judaism is that there is an Aron Kodesh, a holy light, that burns in the temple 24/7, 365. And that light is fueled by a special oil, which it takes 8 days to make. All of the vessels of oil had been opened and spilled, except for one vessel. And we knew that would only last one day. But the miracle was that it lasted 8 days. Now, Hanukkah comes in the lunar month of Kislev, which is in December. And we have evidence that Jesus Christ and his apostles also celebrated Hanukkah and lit those lamps. We have a menorah or a candelabra of 8 lights and one, which is the shamus or the caretaker light. And on the first day, you light the caretaker light and 1 light. The second night, you light the caretaker light and 2 lights. And every night, you add an extra light. And you say 2 prayers, and sometimes 3 for the first night. The first prayer is to thank God for bringing you to the time when you can light the lights of Hanukkah. The second prayer is a prayer that says, thanking God for the miracles he made for our ancestors and the miracles he makes for us in this time. And the third prayer, which is only for the first day, is very specifically for bringing us to this particular moment to light these candles. So we know that tyranny exists all over, but freedom with the help of God is always the victor of the final battle. And that's what this holiday is about, being with God's help the victor in the final battle that restored the Second Temple to the Jewish people. So we have special foods that we eat. We eat a pancake type of thing made of grated potatoes, grated onions, mixed with an egg, salt and pepper, and it's a crispy one. And we enjoy that. It's called a latke. And children get gifts, and we sing songs remembering the victory of light over darkness and the miracle of how light, with God's help, can last throughout darkness. I think that's enough about that, right? Are there any questions for me?
Okay, let's see if anyone has any questions for Estelle. Okay, we don't seem to have any questions at this time. We do have a few people who are tuning in, but sometimes they're awfully quiet while they're over there. What I will say to you, Estelle, is thank you. And for the viewing audience, on the last show of the year, we featured Hanukkah, Ramadan, Christmas, and Kwanzaa. And we talked about what were the differences or the similarities between these international holidays. And what we found to be similar between Kwanzaa and Hanukkah is that in Hanukkah, they have the menorah, which is 8 candles which they light. In Kwanzaa, we have the Kinara, which is 7 candles that we light. Both of these international holidays is about forgiveness and family and food and breaking bread together in unity. So those are some of the things we found out to be very similar in these international holidays. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But right now, let's go to our next guest in the studio. His name is Michael ADISA Anderson. And I call him a master griot because over the years that I've known him coming out of college at the University of UCLA, that's where we met, and we've known each other all these years. Over the years, he has become a master griot because he is so knowledgeable in so many different areas. He's also an actor by trade. He is the director of Queens Historical Society, which is an arts education resource for social studies curriculum and production. The Queen Society focus on urban area learners and communities. The society considers itself to be a cultural arts company exploring the boundaries across various educational disciplines. Okay. Professor Anderson, Griot, Master Griot, as I like to call him, he says the duty of the storyteller is to make plain the tale, to show us things we have not seen before, and to invite us to remember lessons and ideas that we feel we have always known. Thank you for that wonderful quote, and I look forward to putting that on a flyer as one of your quotes because throughout the year, I want to be quoting things that I hear you say. The only way you get quotes is that somebody hears what you say and put it in a quote. So we're going to be putting it in quotes. Thank you so much for being here with us today, ADISA. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Dashanab. I'm so excited again to open up the new year with this cross continental libation. I want to also give reference, and I will do it also during the libation. My wife, who recently passed away 2 years ago, she was my partner for 36 years. And so if one looks at me as a storyteller, it is because of my work with her, where we have shared with over 300,000 youth the story of Africa's female rulers. Those rulers were Queen Hatshepsut, the first female pharaoh of Egypt, Queen T, the mother of King Tut, Queen Nefertiti, Queen Makeda, the Queen of Sheba, Queen Kandaka, or one of the Candace queens, Queen Cleopatra the Seventh, Queen Nzinga from the Angola region, and the last but not least, Queen Ya Santua of the Ashanti in Ghana. And our stage performance is also brought to the stage with the background music. We have been gifted Stevie Wonder's music score, Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants. And that is a presentation in its fullness is 100 plus performing artists sharing this delightful information. So critical for African American children in North America because their history is normally not in the history books. And so we have created a creative way of not only sharing that information, but also featuring them in the cast as co-creators of this production. So again, thank you. I don't know if Dashanaba mentioned, but many of you may know that I had the opportunity to be in a landmark film created by a filmmaker friend of mine who I went to school with, Julie Dash. The film was Daughters of the Dust. And I want to use this as the backdrop against the libation. In Daughters of the Dust, it's a story of a matriarch who came to North America as an enslaved African and lived on the coast of South Carolina. And it is from there that the Gullah people are known to exist. If you ask yourself, what African Americans have retained the most of their Africanness, it's those individuals who were known as the Gullah. And why? Because they lived on the barrier islands off the coast, and they were often separated from the mainland and thus separated from the overseer. And there they were able to maintain many of their traditions and language and ways of life. Of course, as progress would have it, many of them soon moved on to the mainland.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where they are introduced to what is called a modern culture, and they're where they are challenged sometimes to forget who they are. And that's what I want to speak about. In Daughters of the Dust, the last scene, uh, uh, the matriarch calls everyone together, and she presents them with a Bible and a lock of her hair that she puts on top of the Bible and ties it with a string, symbolizing that, yes, there are things that you will take on in this new world, but the lock of the hair represents her, her ancestors, her culture, that she implores that they also take with her. The libation that we are going to, the libation ritual that I'm going to share with you now, is representative of that. The remembering of our ancestors, the remembering of our culture, and recognizing that our existence is tied to those who came before us. Again, our existence is tied to those who came before us.
Yes.
The libation is a simple expression. I have what is called right here, my cup. During Kwanzaa season, we call this the unity cup, or kikombe cha umoja. And I have it in it water that I'm going to pour into the earth, because the earth is from where man and woman came. And as I pour, I'm going to pour in honor of our ancestors. And as I pour, I will say Ashe, and you respond with the expression Ashe, which is giving that pouring the charge or the energy, and also saying that you also agree in the honoring of that ancestor. So let me fittingly start off by pouring libation to our Creator, Mother, Father, God, that created all things. And as I pour, I say, Ashe, and I hear you all saying, Ashe.
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 So after
Okay.
each pouring, we answer with Ashe. And when he asks us to call out the names of our ancestors, we can do that as well at that time.
And now I would like to pour libation for, and I want to say this, for man and human, the birthplace of not only ancient man and woman, but modern man and woman, which is the continent of Africa. Ashe?
Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay. Now, we must recognize that before there was anyone anywhere on the earth, man and woman was there in Africa as if in an oven, cooking for thousands of years. But from that earth, from that place, they left, going to people all of the continents of the world. And for those individuals who went to North America, to South America, to Europe, to
Mm-hmm.
Asia, to the Australian continent. Did I forget any?
Ooh.
Any of those
Seychelles Island.
major continents?
Yeah, the major continents. And we know they also went through the
Oh,
islands.
the Antarctica.
Yes.
Ashe.
And Antarctica.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Now,
And he's expecting each of us, after he pours the libation and say Ashe, he's expecting each of us to say Ashe after he says Ashe. Am I right, brother?
yes. So,
Okay, so let's tune in, everybody.
okay. Now, those individuals, of course, left by their own volition. But I want to now take the time out because there were those individuals, specifically those individuals who left from West Africa in chains. They left through a forced migration. We call that the Ma'afa, or the African Holocaust, where millions, I think 10 to 15 millions were taken across the sea to North and South America. Those individuals, we don't know their names, but we remember them today. Ashe.
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 I don't hear you, Crystal. I don't hear you, Estelle.
She might be muted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now there are those individuals, of course, who made it to the mainland of North and South America. There are those who also existed on all these continents, and they took on new names. So I want to first pour a libation to an individual who I just became aware of, Omar ibn Said. He is a West African born in the 1800s who at the age of 37 was taken and brought to the Carolinas. He was a Muslim scholar who spoke the language and wrote the language. And the only reason we know of him because he recently finished his own autobiography, or at least not we recently finished it, but they recently translated his biography, and it is now online for all to see. Omar ibn Said, I want to pour a libation for. Ashe.
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 And then I want to now just go over for my own family, and I will ask each of you also to share the names of people in your family. First, on my mother's side, Arthur Weaver from Nacogdoches, Texas, who probably, it's my understanding that he may have stage a city boycott, forcing the white township to begin to hire African Americans in the local downtown area. And I mention this because this, I believe, may have preceded the Montgomery bus boycott. So for Arthur Weaver, Ashe.
Ashe.
Now, I say that that's my uncle who passed away,
Ashe.
but his little sister, my mother, who is 98, still today, that I am her primary caregiver for. And we'll mention her later because she is definitely a story to be shared with you.
And we definitely want to hear that story at some point.
98. And our only problem is trying to keep up with her. All of these senior citizens trying to keep up with her, you know.
Yeah, I hear that.
Now, I want to pour libation for her. And I want to, before I pour, I'm going to take the time to get a picture right here. Can everybody see?
Yes, I can. Everybody see that?
Yes.
This lady is my wife, who's Sakara. You see the little pyramid on her head. She wore this on her head, all symbolizing that Nile Valley civilization that she talks so much about. And you see the cowrie shells around her neck. And as I said, though she just recently passed, her memory lives on, and
Yes, it
definitely
does.
it lives on today as we pour this libation in honor of Sakara. Ashe. Ashe.
Asheo.
Ashe. Ashe.
Mm.
So, Krista, now you asked us, all of my friends, I'm going to read through a litany of names that they just gave me. My best friend, Crystal Nix, told me to pour libation for her mother, Mary Nix, Queen Mother Charlene Atkins, Ashe.
Asheo.
Ashe.
Camille, a dear friend of mine, has me pouring libation for Queen Mother Gloria Rufus, Queen Mother Greta Curtis, and King Willie Taylor. Ashe.
Asheo.
Ashe.
Isoke is a student who I was worked with when I was a student at UCLA. We went into South Central Los Angeles and began to work with young learners there, and she has remained a dear friend. She wants me to pour libation for Revela Holmes, Ibrahima Gay, Damon Holmes Sr., Ruth Smoot. Ashe.
Asheo.
Ashe.
Then my son, who was recently a third-year PhD student at the University of Texas, Austin, wants me to pour libation for his uncle, his grandfather, his uncle Eric Thomas, his grandfather Bill Thomas, his uncle Paul Anderson, and his uncle Charles Anderson, and Charles Anderson Sr., his grandfather. Ashe.
Asheo.
Ashe.
And Dashanaba, do you want me to include yours here or wait?
Yeah, go right ahead. And Nana also sent us some names, and I'm showing it on the screen right now. So you can call
Okay,
out those
so
names and the ones I sent you.
Dashanaba, you have
Yes.
me wanting to recognize on this opening week of the year, the elder statesman, the Reverend Floyd L. King Sr., Mrs. Eugenia King Miller, Lady B.J. Love,
Yes.
Jesse Miller, Raymond
Yes.
Sussman,
Yes.
Floyd King Jr., John J. Willits. How do you say
Willikis.
that, Dashanaba?
Willikis. John Willikis.
Willikis.
Yes.
Ashe.
Asheo. And
Okay.
yes, and if you see those names on the screen, you can call them out.
Yes.
And that's from Nana.
For Nana, I would like to acknowledge, she wants to acknowledge her male ancestor, Peter Farrell, abolitionist Peter Farrell Jr., his pastor and blacksmith's son, and her father, Dr. Howard L. Wilson, retired lieutenant colonel, former deputy safety director for the city of Columbus, Ohio. Ashe.
Asheo.
Ashe.
Estelle, you have anyone, anyone in your family ancestors you'd like for us to pour the libation with? Same for you, Crystal, and
Yes.
same for you, Dr. Beverly.
Yes, I would like to for my grandmother, Chaya, who always wanted to learn to read and write in Lithuania, where girls, especially Jewish girls, didn't count. So she made a deal with her stepfather that she would bring him his dinner while he was teaching boys to read Hebrew, and he would allow her to look over the shoulder and learn each of the Hebrew letters. So that's how my grandmother learned to read in Hebrew during the 1880s when women didn't count for anything.
Come
And
on.
she could read a Hebrew prayer book.
Ashe.
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 Ashe. Yeah, I think I would just there are so many who have passed on of my ancestors, so I'll just name them by clan, and maybe we can say Ashe when I'm done. For the Lax Turner clans, the Warren clan, the Armstrong Jones clans, and the Davis Bolin clans, which both represent African American clans and Native American clans.
Ashe.
Asheo.
Ashe.
Ashe.
It's so
Thank
fitting
you.
also that you bring in that Native American or the as we like to call it First Nation clan. Most Africans
First
in North
Nation.
America have in their family also First Nation people. Matter of fact, most the Africans who often escaped from the plantation were often taken in by First Nation people. And so we pour libation for them. Ashe.
Asheo.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Yes.
Okay. And Crystal?
Yes.
Ashe.
For me, I would say my mother, Marilyn Cauley, my my grandmother, so everyone on my mother and father's side. So my mother, Marilyn Cauley, my grandmother, Mary Mills, her mother, Juanita Brooks, and then her mother, Susie Clayton.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Asheo.
Ashe.
All right.
Now, is that the last ones?
That's the
Ashe.
last one from the people in the studio. And
Okay.
right now, I don't see any new names in the chat room, so we can move on.
Oh, before we do,
Okay.
one last activity to prove
Okay.
that I have not given the ancestors any poison. I will drink. Am I still standing?
Yes.
Okay.
Ashe.
You know, you got you got
Ashe.
Asheo.
you gotta. Oh, thank you for that, Ashe.
Very good. Very good. All right. Thank you so much. And we'll continue to have Griot Adisar Anderson on the show from time to time to bring you up to date on some of the projects that he's actually involved with, but also for you to know what he is doing. And do know that whenever you've had a transition in your family, it is okay to call on him to pour libation. He can do that, especially if you're doing it virtually. And if not, he can certainly send you a notice, but just know that he's recognized for doing these ceremonies throughout North America. North America. Thank you for that, Adisa. We'll be back to you for closing words. Right now, we're going to go to our next guest in the studio. Her name is Crystal. And I met Crystal online when I was just surfing for Kwanzaa, and her story came up so big. Crystal Cauley is a Henderson County, North Carolina native. She is one who speaks up and out on the area's rich African American history. In fact, she is guest at many conferences, art shows, panel discussions, and she can even be found in her own local museum in Asheville, North Carolina, where she is a towering figure of conscious teachings on African American history to youth. She does complete youth programs during Kwanzaa for many years now. She has a project that's called the Black History Collective, where they use oral stories that have taken place in Henderson County, stories of African Americans, and documented their history along with professional art interpretations. Often the projects that she gets involved with uses artwork, sculptures, quilts, and West African crafts to tell the history of the past, to tell the history of the present, and to tell the history of the future. Crystal has received many commendations for her work and her expressions of Kwanzaa in the county. Crystal, Queen Mother Speaks is so very delighted to have you here. And be sure you tell us a little bit about what you've done this year with Kwanzaa. Crystal?
Hello, and thank you for having me on the show. This
Absolute.
year, this year for Kwanzaa, I celebrated by doing a children's hour at the museum. I read a book about Kwanzaa to the children. I had them participate. If I ran into a word that was in Swahili, I would have them say it back to me. And the parents that was with the children also participated. So everyone loved this activity.
Hmm. And would you say, Crystal, that the word is getting out more and more and more about what Kwanzaa is?
Yes, especially in areas where I live. I live in the western part of North Carolina, so that means that in my county it's only 4% African American. So that means we only have 4,000 African Americans, and even though we may be small in number, there's still the opportunity to allow everyone to know about different cultures and Kwanzaa, Juneteenth, and celebration of Black History Month and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So you may live in a small part of the world, a small town, a community, but it's very important to show and educate everyone about your culture and your heritage. And I think that's how we can grow.
Hmm.
Agreed.
Hmm.
Ashe.
Tell us, Crystal, how
Mhm.
do you celebrate Kwanzaa 365 days in a year? How do you do that?
I celebrate Kwanzaa 365 days a year by practicing the principles. Um, with the principles, I'll go into the fact that we celebrated, of course, December 26th to January 1st. But the principles is something that I firmly believe in. We can practice every single day. And
Hmm.
so I will go into a little bit about Kwanzaa. It was created in 1966 by Professor Malana Karinga, who was a professor at the University of California, Long Beach. Also, over 18 million people celebrate Kwanzaa. And Kwanzaa means in Swahili, Matanda ye Kwanzaa, which means the first fruit of harvest. And so I know that, and we all know that to have a bountiful harvest, we first have to plant a seed. And so by planting seeds of knowledge into people is what can actually make our harvest bountiful and continue to grow, and we can see this harvest by intentionally planting the seeds and showing our expression of gratitude to our ancestors and to our history. And so I feel that by utilizing and practicing the principles of Kwanzaa that I'll share with you, um, is what can help us with this journey. So I
Okay.
practice Kwanzaa, as stated, with cultural events, exhibits, asking for proclamations from mayors, so that they can use the proclamation to tell everyone in the cities, um, the different cities here in Western North Carolina, that this is a week like Kwanzaa week.
Hmm.
So to have everyone informed of making the decision to celebrate.
Very well. Now, those of you who celebrate Kwanzaa in other cities or other countries and other areas, consider what Crystal has done, getting a proclamation from the city that you live in to actually state that the city that the city honors this week called Kwanzaa. So she was able to do that with 4 mayors just by asking. So it's
Mhm.
interesting what you can get when you ask, because there's a scripture that says we have not because we ask not.
Mhm.
But because Crystal was bold enough
Mhm.
to ask the question, she was able to get those proclamations, and Kwanzaa is celebrated in those cities. Thank you, Crystal. Back to you.
Thank you. And so we have 361 days left in this year where we can use visions and intentions, reflections, attainable goals, creating positive relationships with ourselves and loving ourselves, and also forgiving people so we can go forward. There's no barriers that's going to hold us back. And so, as I'm explaining about the principles of Kwanzaa and utilizing this in your life each day, I would like to say don't be afraid of change, because change is very important part of life. It helps us with adaptation and how we are flexible through life as we go through different processes and different transitions. So I will tell you that Kwanzaa has 7 principles. Unity is the first, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and our last principle is faith. I will start off with our first principle. And if you would like to take notes, you can. I'll try to also give examples for each
Crystal, if you'll
principle.
do this, if you'll just state what the principle is
Hmm.
and then give us the example, we will post in the chat room all of the principles and what they each mean.
Okay, so the first principle is unity, and that is to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. And then you'd like for me to give an example of that, Mother?
Well, uh, either give the name and an example, and we'll put the meaning online because I didn't want to go too much over 6 o'clock. So give the
Yes.
unity and then give an example, and we'll put the meaning of all of the principles in the Queen Mother Speaks Facebook or all of their social media for this week.
Yes. Unity. An example would be volunteer and help out at a local organization, school, or place of worship. The second principle, self determination. I have practice the principles, meditate on them, and set goals and your affirmations. Use those for self determination. The third principle, collective work and responsibility. For this one, help out with meaningful projects such as painting and refreshing your community centers, helping out with, for example, a community garden. Our next principle, which is number 4, cooperative economics. For this, I have support business networks such as small pop-up shops and markets that highlight entrepreneurs and craft shows. Go there by supporting these business people, these especially the small businesses. If you can't support them financially, tell people about them and let people know, because this is very important and helps build community. The next principle, purpose. Purpose. Preserve your history. A lot of many cultures, we have something called oral history. So we pass it down orally, but we're not writing it down. Be intentional. Write this oral history down so that our youth and the next generation can remember our elders and our ancestors and what these leaders have done. Preserve this history with purpose. The next principle, creativity. Creativity, just a little bit about that. We're leaving our community better than than it is now. So we're making a difference, and how we can make a difference with creativity, taking up environmental causes and being more conscious, recycling, cleaning up our neighborhood, carpooling or bicycling, enhancing our community so that our children and their children can enjoy this earth. The last principle, faith. Support your house of worship, your temple. Help out with projects involving your place of worship that may give back to the community. And remember that each day, each day is a new beginning.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, I thank you so very much, Crystal,
Yes.
for this. And we're going to invite you back at another day on the Queen Mother Speak Show to find out more about some of the work and to show us some of all the great things that you've been doing over there in Henderson. And because that indeed you have, and we really do appreciate that. I just got a message from RAQUIYAH, who was going to do the part on thanking people who in your people have done things for you in your life, how we want to take a moment and take time out to thank them. She just told me she's on a flight and they're just now landing. So I told her no worries. Okay. I told her no worries and not to worry, that we will go ahead and do the section on thanks and thank you. And in giving thanks to people, all right, here's one I want to put on the screen. I've been getting messages from people all week who want to give shout outs and thank you to people that they know. Let's see here if I can get, I'm trying to put Professor back. There we go. Okay, and let's see if we can get Estelle on the screen. Okay, very well. So this is an opportunity for us to thank people in our lives who have really stood there for us doing this past year. So we can start with people in the studio, and I will be posting on the screen from those who sent names in that they want to give thanks to. All right?
Mhm.
All right. So can we start with you, Professor Beverly?
Oh, sure. I have many, so I'll do this very quickly. First of all, Dashanaba King and Queen Mother
Mm,
Speaks, a
mm.
great source of support and inspiration. Abu, Carmen, Umi, Liz, Helen, Masumi, Jacinta, Phyllis, Maria, Karen, Denise, Leslie, Rani, Patsy, Nora, Sonali, Coco de Mer ladies, and my 91-year-old Auntie Faye.
Wow. Hello, Auntie Faye. Let me follow right behind Beverly and the people I want to give thanks to. I want to first give thanks to my mom and my dad. I want to give thanks to the Creator. I want to give thanks to my co host, Nana. When she heard about the show, she just jumped in. And I'm telling you, she takes this show on like it was birthed from her own belly. How often do you have people you work with who take your work just as seriously as you take theirs? So thank you, Nana, for being there. We're praying for your healing and for your recovery. I want to give thanks to my sisters, Lady Mo, and to Tashmia out of San Francisco, who's always there for me. You know, I'm the baby in my family of 10. And sometimes the things that I may say or do may seem kind of silly, but they're always there to listen to me. And they may say, "You certainly being a silly girl," but they're always there to listen to me. To each of you who've been a part of the Queen Mother Speak show over this past year, I thank you. Next week, we will do a review of the 2022 year, so I won't go into a lot of names right now. But we all know how I jumped into this water. I jumped into this Queen Mother Speaks water during the George Floyd days when a lot of Americans were saying, "We got to get out of here. Queen Mother, tell us how to move to Africa." And that's how Queen Mother Speaks actually started, because I started writing about how to expatriate. And I had like 10 episodes of how to expatriate. And then I said, well, darn, if I'm going to put that much energy into it, then we should go ahead and make it a blog or make it a live stream. And that's how Queen Mother Speaks got started. And here we are right now over in year 3. This is the 3rd year for Queen Mother Speaks. And in July, we'll be celebrating that 3rd anniversary. So it's okay to start whenever you start. But the thing to do is to go ahead and make sure that you do start something. And so this is the section where we give thanks to those who've been a part of our life, and whether they were part of your life this year or another year. This is the opportunity to give thanks.
Well,
So jump right in.
Let me jump in and tell you about my mother, Queen Mother Rena Anderson, who is 98 years old.
Wow.
And if anybody wants to know what is the secret, I'm gonna tell you now. Are you listening?
We're listening.
Okay. The secret is never learning how to drive a car. She takes public transportation wherever she goes. And so it requires her to, let's say, walk the 2 blocks to catch the bus. And then everybody knows her along the line. And so it keeps her mobile, and then she'll go do her shopping with a basket, get back on the bus, and come all the way back home to all parts of the city. While her peers, now I say her peers, most of her peers are 20 years younger than her. So they're jumping in a car, driving somewhere, doing whatever, riding back. And so it's that mobility that is lessened when you're always driving in that vehicle. And you know, like in Los Angeles, there's so many freeways. So I must say, so much of her strength and resilience right now is related to the fact that she is so mobile. And as I said, we just found out that we now are going to be receiving 24-hour care to provide for her through Medicaid, and which is like, I've been sleeping over her house 4 days a week. But again, reciprocity. It's something that I definitely look forward to doing, as opposed to, I know if I put her in a rest home, you know, that's unheard of. And so Queen Mother Rena Anderson, I want to definitely recognize. And then my two school friends, Dashanaba, for over the years, and that we have always been together. You know, I proposed to Dashanaba a long time ago, but she said I was too short, and so you know, I'm a little man, you know, and so I also want to recognize Alile, who is a filmmaker who gave me my African name, ADISA, and I gave her African name, Alile, when we were in college. I also want to recognize, since my wife has passed away, there are several sister friends who are queens who are still in my life, and who my wife has also left me with. And those queens pick me up each day. And last but not least, my children, adult children, Adisa the second, Taharka, and Trinice, and my 5 grandchildren, Shamara, Ananda, Saraya, Messiah, and
Wow.
Naima. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Very good. Very good. I just want to take the moment right now and thank RAQUIYAH, who just landed. And I told her, don't worry, don't be rushing through traffic to try to be on the show. No worries. We'll just pick her up at another time. But I want to thank RAQUIYAH, who is a health and wellness coach. And I've known her again from Atlanta, Georgia. Her children were in my Sunday school class, and she has two twin daughters who were Olympic swimmers. Okay, so I've been around them all of their life if they've grown up, and eventually you get to meet the mama. So that's how I actually met RAQUIYAH, and I've known her for many years. And I knew that she was into health, but I didn't know that she had taken it as far as she had. So what she's doing now is she has clients where she's actually counseling them on high blood pressure and on what's the other one? Diabetes, and
Mhm.
working with them to consider changing their diet and changing their food to eating plant-based foods, because she's saying a lot of the problems that we have in our bodies has a lot to do with what we eat and exercise. So she is a strong proponent of people having a plant-based diet, and when you make it up in your mind to do that, you can actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guest in house from for 2 months. Actually, it was more like maybe 12 weeks. I had a guest in house, and that guest was vegan. They ate only vegetables, and the only flesh that they ate was fish. So I honored their way of eating, or their lifestyle, if you will. And for those 12 weeks, I was shown how to cook so many different vegan dishes. And we went up to Navarsha and actually got the fishermen to fish for us and get us those fresh fish right out of the water. And they cleaned them, they cut them up and brought them home, and we were able to eat the fish whenever we want. I want you to know that we're in January, right? And we went up to Navarsha back in September. I still have fish in my freezer. And I'm saying that to say because I've learned how to eat the veggies so and make and knowing how to make them too. I learned how to do it so well until I really haven't had a lot of meat. So I think that after the 12 weeks of being with her, I think I'm on that mode of getting there because my mind was already set to making a better me as I move into another year. Estelle, may we hear from you?
Oh, sure. There are lots of people I'd really like to thank and remember
Okay.
this year. Certainly, Coach Alfred and Naomi and the Lord Creator who guides me and makes me feel that even though I sometimes feel alone, I'm not alone and He's with me.
Mm. And let me just say, Estelle, how do we actually meet? Somebody we know in common?
Actually, yes, I think it was my friend Esther Hall. She's an African American missionary who's my close buddy
Okay.
since I've been here in
Okay.
Kenya. And she's the one who told me about you. And I tried to
Okay.
get online. And once I started, and once I saw Elizabeth Myers, another person I want to thank, and you,
Good.
Dashanambe, and
Mhm.
also Nana,
Mhm.
because and the Sankofa elders, and I listened to these programs, and they are outstanding. And they made me think, and they made me think about life in different ways. It's really been a wonderful experience being part of this.
Mhm. Very well. Very well.
So thank you
And
for
I
having.
just want to Yes, yes. I'm happy for each of you that are here, the Sankofa elders. For those of you who know Dr. Butler actually moved from Kenya back to America, and he is now in the state of Louisiana. If anybody chooses to be in touch with him, he's given me permission to give out his information. ADISA, that is a brother that you want to know. He's a Pan Africanist, and he, along with some other brothers that I met here in Kenya, were responsible for help writing up the policies and procedures around Pan Africanism during the day. And they are well respected, but Dr. Butler's back in the States. I loved him being here because the young people would just flock to him like they're flocking to you, Crystal, because you're giving them information they haven't heard. Okay, and you continue to do that. All right, well, we have gone over the 6 o'clock hour, just 11 minutes, It's okay, because this is our show and we can do with it what we want, but we like to stay within an hour. Forgive us for running over a few minutes. Let me hear the final comments from our guest in studio and we'll close out the show.
Well,
If anybody have any closing
yes,
remarks.
yes, I would also like to echo one of the things that Crystal said. Kwanzaa is so critical and important, and what we sometimes forget with Kwanzaa is that the seed requires the fertile soil,
Mhm.
and it's that soil. And what we must recognize here in North America since COVID,
Mhm.
suicide amongst African American males is up.
Mm,
Since COVID, reading and math scores amongst African American children are lower than all other children. And so
mm,
what this says now is that the soil is not going to be as fertile, and that we're going to get our hands dirty and we're going to have to do some work, because normally we show that Kwanzaa displayed with beautiful fruits and vegetables. And if we are honest with ourselves, our children have been impacted and
Mhm.
do not look shiny as a Christmas present or a Kwanzaa present.
mm-hmm,
We got to do some work.
mm-hmm.
And so
Yes, we
I
do.
end with that. Let's get our hands dirty. So, matter of fact, put your hands up, everybody. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. So next year when we come together, I want to see dirt all in your fingernails from planting those seeds. Okay. So
Very
that's my
well.
closing. Professor, they got to be dirtier than that now. Come on. Okay. All of us promised me we're going to come back with black hands.
Put those hands back
Okay.
up. Let me get a photo of that. Put those hands back up. Let me get a photo. Put your hands back up, everybody in the studio. Let me get a photo of that. Okay. Okay. Very good. This is wonderful. Slowly but surely, we're moving into a
Yep.
more professional show. I have so many ideas of things I want to do on the Queen Mother Speaks show this year. Hopefully, we'll get to do. Hopefully, we'll get to do some of those online. But more importantly, we want to introduce having some programs and having some classes that you will pay a small fee for from some
Mhm.
of these professionals. Crystal, go ahead and get your program and your curriculum together for your class.
Yes.
Estelle, do the same, because the math and English initiative that you have with the group in NGO, that may be something we can share further. But this is your platform, so feel free to use it. Okay. Again, I want to say hello to Coach RAQUIYAH, who's still in transit towards her home. You know, she was born in Panama, and she is a very prolific Spanish speaker. So if you're interested in learning the Spanish language, the sister can give you training one on one. Okay. She can definitely do that for you. And Crystal, again, through RAQUIYAH, I'm thinking there's some Spanish you could be teaching some of your children, because we do need our children in America to be having more than one language as well. Once again,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, this is the Queen Mother Speak Show. Thank you for tuning in. And I want to take a moment right now. I don't know who has the best voice, but today is actually Crystal's birthday. So who has the best voice?
Oh,
Adisa,
that got to be me.
go
That got
ahead.
to be me. One, two, three. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
Happy
to you.
birthday to ya.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday to ya.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
ya.
Happy
Happy birthday.
birthday.
Today
Thank
is
you.
Crystal's 43rd anniversary of life, and
Yes.
she's sharing part of it with us here on the Queen Mother Speak Show. And I
Mhm.
hope we can remember this every year.
Yes.
Every year. I did have something I wanted. Hold on one second. I got something I wanted to do for you, Crystal. Give me
Oh.
1 second.
So as we're holding, Crystal, on this day,
Mhm.
the planets return to the place that they were at the day of your birth in
Wow.
honor of you. That's like I say, just as the sun returns to that place, all the planets are in that place recognizing you. So
Wow.
that makes you a big shot.
Yes. Thank you for the birthday song, and just waking up, sharing my birthday morning with the guest here on this show is really, really special to me, honestly.
Well, feeling is mutual.
Okay, Crystal, I think I'm ready with your surprise here.
Okay.
I'm kind
I
of
don't know if
scared.
you can see it. Can you see it?
Oh,
Yes.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. I don't know how long ago I bought this sparkle, but after it was your birthday, Crystal, I decided I needed to keep it just for you. All
Oh,
righty,
thank
just
you.
finished. And we appreciate you. We appreciate each and every one of
don't
you.
burn the place down.
It's done. It's finished. It's finished, and when it finishes, it's still a little warm, but it's over there on the side by itself. Again, every Wednesday, every week, live at 5 p.m. Kenya time. It will be 9 a.m. New York time. It
Mhm.
will be 4 a.m. Hawaii time, 3 p.m. in Morocco, 7:30 in India, and 8 p.m. in Dubai. So go to facebook.com/Queen Mother Speaks. We'll see you again on next week. Happy New Year.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think I got some other names
We
before
can
we
call
leave.
them.
Just for the libation, I see Crystal CAULEY gives thanks to uh, her parents, the late Marilyn Mills CAULEY,
Mhm.
Father Gerald CAULEY, Tyrese, and Tiara. You said those, Crystal, already?
No, but I had put those in the chat.
Okay, I want to give honor to those names, Tyrese
Yes.
and Tiara, your children
Yes.
that you want to recognize, and your community of supporters and family. And
Mhm.
also, thank you for that proclamation idea. I'm going to be running with that. We
Yeah.
have
Yes.
what is called the Long Beach African American Cultural Center
Mhm.
uh, that I like to say to them that they set the standard of culture in Long Beach. So that is
Mhm.
something that they need to be requiring, not only for their own city, but if I'm not mistaken, we can go to other local surrounding cities asking them to do the same.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And
So
Exactly.
I've done that. And if you guys would like to connect with me, I'm more than happy to give you, or you can get my information from Queen Mother.
definitely,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely. Because I want to see that happen everywhere. I even want to see that happen in Kenya. So
Oh yeah.
you've given us all an idea to get proclamations because Dr. Karenga, who is the founder of Kwanzaa,
Hmm.
actually borrowed from the Kiswahili language,
Hmm.
for Kwanzaa. We
Mhm.
even borrowed the Kiswahili colors,
Yes.
which is also the African American colors.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
again, we can work on getting proclamations in other places. And Crystal, you'll give us a copy of one of your letters where they've actually given you the proclamation that we can
Yes,
use
yes.
as we're writing to the other cities to show how it was done in North Carolina.
Yes, and also I reach out to all the media outlets, my local newspaper, magazines.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's a full circle. We need to let everybody know, we're
Very
here and we
good.
celebrate greatness.
Very good. Very good. And we'll check back in with you sometime, maybe 3-4 months down the road, in terms of the Kwanzaa principle, because I've seen it somewhere where they break down the principles over the 12 months. There's so many months you focus on this principle, and so many months you focus on that principle. But we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see as we go. Once again, thank you for tuning in. We're going to end the show the way we always do, which is with a kiss. And the way we do that is we take our left hand and blow a kiss, our right hand and blow a kiss, and then both hands. And we throw a kiss into the world, because we do believe that love is the most healing force in the universe. So let's send out some love this new year. Left hand first. Come on.
You want sound?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't see your hand, Crystal. There you go. Mwah. Very good. Let's do our right hand.
Oh,
I don't see your hand, Beverly.
Okay. Right hand.
All right, well, let's give it to the whole world with both hands. Are you ready, Estelle?
Yes.
Let's go. With both hands. With both hands. Let's go.
I'm holding my
Mwah.
mwah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, this is
Blessings.
Queen Mother Speaks
Thank you.
every Wednesday, every
Thank
week,
you.
live at 5 p.m.